Well, thank you all for being here. We're in the middle of votes, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Senator McCaskill is so excited about this legislation that she is speechless, practically. So I'm going to talk for about 45 minutes, and she's going to talk for 1 minute. No, I'll be brief, too. I thank her for working closely with me on this, not just this year, but this is legislation we put together over the last couple years. It's common sense legislation that we think has an opportunity to not just get passed out of committee and onto the floor, but actually get to the president for a signature. And it will help. It will help to create more good-paying jobs here in this country, and after all, that's what we should all be about. So we're excited about it. It has to do with dealing with an issue that everybody agrees is a problem, which is permitting. You know, the issue of flat wages and even declining wages and reduction in benefits is in part because we don't have enough investment in this country in things like, you know, building stuff, contracting, infrastructure. And these are good-paying jobs, jobs with good benefits. That's why the building trades are here today, and I appreciate them. And it's why so many small business people are interested in this and why we have such broad support across the aisle. Right now, we are ranked 41st in the world, based on the latest World Bank study, in terms of the ease of permitting, you know, a green light, getting something built. And that's one reason investment's going elsewhere rather than coming to America. And that's one reason people get discouraged and pull back from some projects. So this is an opportunity for us to help fix that by streamlining it and making it more accountable. By the way, we're 41st. Germany is number 8. South Korea is number 12. So a lot of the countries we compete with around the globe have an easier time building something now than we do. The gauntlet of federal regulations is sometimes really daunting. For instance, it's not unheard of for a single energy project to run into 35 different federal agencies and departments that have different, or 35 different rules and regulations they have to go through, permits. I mean, this is something that affects wind power, it affects solar power, it certainly affects oil and gas, it affects hydropower. I got involved in this really because when I first got elected, American Municipal Power came to see me. They do power plants in Ohio, and they wanted to do a hydroelectric plant on the Ohio River. Sort of a good idea, you know, good clean energy. And they came and said, you know, we can't get the permit to get this done. It makes so much sense. And we don't have patient capital. You know, our investors are kind of looking where they can get something done in a few years, and we can't guarantee them that because of these permitting problems. So whether it's there or most recently I was in Noble County at B&N Coal Company, there's a guy there who's been in this business for about 30 years. He's an engineer. I said, what's going on with your permitting? And he went into all the issues, and he said, here's my permit. And he pulled out one notebook that was about this thick, and then a second notebook that was about this thick. He said, I've been doing this long enough. I remember when it was 11 pages. 11 pages to get the same permit. And he said, it's, you know, most of this is duplicative, he said. You know, it's not like this is stuff that's really substantive or helping to, you know, create the right project, cleaner environment, whatever. It's just a lot of paperwork and a lot of time and a lot of compliance. So unfortunately, these stories are, you know, more the rule now than the exception. And we've got to figure out how to deal with this. It's the redundancy, it's the complexity, it's the delay, it's the legal liability. So our legislation is modeled after legislation that's already passed the House and the Senate. It's the 2006 and 2012 transportation bills. It's also consistent with the recommendations of the President's Jobs Council. This is President Obama's Jobs Council. It's also consistent with 2 reports that are represented here today by gentlemen here from the Business Roundtable and the Chamber of Commerce. Thank you guys for being here. And again, the building trades has been on top of this for a long time and been helping us from the start. And I appreciate that the North American Building Trades is here today to talk about that issue. It does 3 things basically. One is it coordinates between the federal agencies. It says, okay, let's be sure there is some accountability here and some coordination. It establishes a federal permitting improvement council. It's headed by OMB, Office of Management and Budget. That's be the a group that will establish what is the lead agency, who's really accountable for this, rather than having every agency kind of point to the other one. The lead agency would be tasked with establishing deadlines, reasonable deadlines, ensuring concurrent review by participating agencies, and coordinating between the states and localities, which is one of the issues, is the feds coming in and not coordinating with the local community. Second, we've got more transparency, which is a good thing in general government, but particularly here. To let folks know what's going on, I think will really help. It requires early consultation between project sponsors and permitting agencies, try to resolve issues of concern up front, establishes an online permitting dashboard. This is to track what's going on, the status of approvals, help ensure decisions are made in a timely fashion. So you can go online as a citizen and also as a directly affected party and find out where is this approval and who's holding it up and why. I think this is going to be really helpful. Third, reduced litigation. The bill reduces the current 6-year statute of limitations on NEPA lawsuits to 150 days after final authorization is published in the Federal Register. So litigation that challenges approvals doesn't just drag on year after year after year. That's one of the problems we've identified in talking to folks about why we need to have this legislation. The bill also clarifies that when considering a preliminary injunction, courts have to consider the potential job loss. And significant job loss is something they ought to consider that results from halting a project. It covers significant capital projects of more than $25 million, includes projects from across the sectors. I mentioned renewable energy earlier. Certainly covered that, conventional energy, electricity transmission, surface transportation, aviation, ports and waterways, water resource projects, broadband, pipelines, manufacturing, and so on. It doesn't alter substantive standards in the law, but instead it seeks to create a smarter, more transparent, better managed process for government review and approval of major capital projects. And then finally, this is one of these truly bipartisan efforts. You'll hear from Senator McCaskill here in a moment in her passionate voice. But this is one where we have worked across the aisle. In fact, among our co-sponsors are Senator Blunt, Senator Manchin, Senator Johnson, Senator Angus King. Who am I missing? Senator Paul. So with Senator King on board, this is tripartisan. All right? So can't get better than that in this place.